Denny Schaeffer.
Live from the Clean Fleet Auto Body Studios. Rush Radio 99.5 WRNO 605. Good morning to you, Robert.
Good morning, Denny.
What the heck happened, Bob? For those of you just joining us, welcome to the show. Something I forgot to mention yesterday when we were doing all the toll chat, and I want to do it now. I want to say thank you to Mike Teachworth and to Patrick Hand. These two guys spearheaded, took on the tolls, and no disrespect to Mayor Landrieu, but shut your pie hole on this one, all right? The whole scare tactic of, the maintenance and the upkeep of the bridge, and it's gonna fall. Just stop that. That's big government BS talk for. Tax money is our crack, and we can't say no to crack. We want the $22 million a year. Mike and Patrick, I don't know how I missed this. It was Bob who brought this up to me after the show. They need to be thanked. They're heroes. They took on the tolls themselves. It started with just a couple of guys who, when you think about it, had to take on and had to sue for the right for people to be able to vote on something. These dudes are heroes, man. You realize they save taxpayers $22 million a year for the next 20 years? If people get out and do their stinking job and vote on May 4th, which I believe they will, I think this thing's going to just absolutely get crushed because a lot of politicians, they're shying away from it this time. But those guys, they're heroes, man. Modern-day heroes. It just shows you what a couple of guys can do when they take a stand for right against big government. A huge, huge victory. Huge victory. And we all should, pat him on the back and think, I can't believe I missed that. I don't know how I did it. But we'll have him on, I'm sure, between now and May 4th, and I'll remind him that they're modern-day heroes. And sometimes you can take on big government. What's sad is these guys had to take their own money and file a lawsuit to do what our government should have done when it was so close like this, and people complained that they weren't able to vote. And our government is like, whatever. Sue us, man. Bring it on. There's nothing in place to stop this from happening in other elections when you have over 1,000 people that weren't able to vote. That ain't right, man. Down the tolls on the Crescent City connection. And there's a lot of unanswered questions. What's going to happen to, some of the toll workers. And so we thought we'd bring on the Louisiana Department of Transportation, the DOTD, and ask some of those questions. And Rhett DeSalle is the Secretary of Operations, and he joins us now. Hello, Rhett. Good morning, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Denny. How you doing?
Good. Did you ever think we'd get to this day where I imagine before November you thought it was a possibility, but you guys had things planned, right, in case it didn't pass in November?
Yes, definitely. We had plans in place. As a matter of fact, our whole budget for this fiscal year was built and put together with us stopping toll collections December 31st, 2012.
All right, so one of the big questions that we were talking about yesterday is what happens to the toll workers? What about the folks that have been working there? Maybe people have been doing it for years. What happens to their job?
Well, right now, because we've suspended toll collections and we're kind of in a holding pattern waiting on the election in May, and my budget was really constructed not to be collecting tolls at this point in time, we have had to look at our employment status, and we do have many of our toll collectors and people involved in the cash collection that are in some type of temporary job appointment or probationary appointment, and we're having to end their employment at the end of this work week.
So some folks are losing their job. Now, is the story that I read in the New Orleans Advocate that it was 31 workers?
That's correct.
And they were temporary workers who were hired pending the outcome of the November vote, correct?
Well, what happened, as we started approaching 18 months out before the December 31st sunsetting of the tolls, when we started replacing people who left, we brought them in on a probationary or a temporary employment status with the thinking that we were going to have to stop collecting tolls December 31st. So we started planning way out for the sunsetting of the tolls and we've, kind of stayed in that pattern until the November election, when we started to shift gears a little bit, but we have still had several of our employees in a temporary employment status.
So are you going to try and find places for some of these people, or good luck to them?
Well, we have some in a permanent employment status. We're working to put them to work elsewhere in the business. We have some other work that needs to be done, that needs to be completed. So we're going to put them to work there as long as we can. But again, right now, my budget is set up for us not to have that many people on staff at this point in time. So we're going to put them to work for a while, but without the toll revenues coming in, I've got limited budget capabilities to pay all those salaries.
Rhett DeSalle, Secretary of Operations, Department of Transportation, DOTD, joins us on the Charter Communications Hotline, Rush Radio 99.5 WRNO. What about the folks that have been paying these tolls since New Year's Eve that with their toll tag? Any chance those folks getting reimbursed on some of that?
Well, Denny, I think that's something that, we're going to have to get direction from. There may be some legal challenges that will give us direction on what to do with that. We may get some direction from the court system on how we have to approach that. And at the end of the day, the new tolls that were being collected were put in funds that were set up and under the oversight of the Regional Planning Commission. So I think at the end of the day, they may give us some direction on what to do with the tolls that we're collecting since January 1. So that is not real clear right now what, the outcome of that.
Has the money been spent?
No.
All right,
no,
so there's a
money has not
possibility,
been
and yeah, maybe some people will just go, "Hey, look, dude, it's it's been 40 cents, so it hasn't been that much money, and you know what? I'm just thankful the tolls are going bye-bye. Use the money with my blessing. Hopefully, that's what people will do, but we know it doesn't always work out that way. All right, so the vote comes up in May, and I gotta assume you guys are planning that the toll's going to go away forever. But either way, there's proponents that want this to come back, and Mayor Landrieu's on TV yesterday scaring people, talking about the upkeep. And so are you guys taking bets at DOTD when the bridge is going to fall down because of neglect?
No bets. And we are looking at this, in two directions. We're coming. Of course, we had a plan for not collecting tolls, and we're going to pull that plan off the shelf and put it back on the table, dust it off, because we're now at a different point in time under different circumstances. And then we're going to also think about what we have to do if we have to ramp back up to start collecting tolls should the vote go the other way. So we're looking at this contingent upon having to do either or.
Who's going to upkeep it? Who's going to mow the lawn? Who's going to pick up the trash? Who's going to paint it? Who's going to make sure the lights are taken care of? Whose job is that?
Well, we have a regional group in District 2 in Bridge City. Our district administrator, Mr. Mike Stack, leads that group. They do the mowing, litter collection, bridge, roadway maintenance for the other roads and bridges in the region. So they're going to assume the responsibility of providing those services at the level that we provided for these other roads and bridges. So
people don't have to fear that. They don't have to fear that the lawn's not going to be mowed. All right, before you go, because I'm up against my break here, do you know how it breaks down? Because it's another question about another bridge, a really long bridge, which I take every day. I come across the causeway. Do you know what the breakdown is of my $2 every time I come across, how that breaks down, where that money goes?
No, sir, I do not. The Causeway is their own separate commission and has no affiliation with DOTD.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask that question because I'm running into some roadblocks of people giving me a straight answer on how that money breaks down. People, I think it goes to, and I just wanted to ask you because, you're an expert and you're the Secretary of Operations for DOTD. Rhett, thanks for going on. I really appreciate it, and hopefully this vote sticks and you guys continue to do the fine job that you guys are doing here in the great state of Louisiana.
Thank you, Denny.
Take care. All right, there you go. There's some answers. Well, I think we got all our answers, all our questions answered, didn't we? I think so. All right, coming back. Don't believe it, man. Don't believe it. I'll explain that next. Rush Radio 99.5 WRNO.